The Christmas Bunny is a really sweet film. It's a little slow at times, but I'd say it's worth watching. And there are two reasons for that. One, there are so many bunnies, and we have our main bunny, a bunny called Rumpel, who is absolutely gorgeous. And IMDb tells me that Rumpel is actually played by a bunny called Rupert. And the other reason why I personally found this really interesting is that it focuses on a little girl called Julia, and she's a girl who's in the foster care system. And I have a particular interest in foster care and specifically how that can affect children. So, for me personally, that was another reason why I found this really interesting. This was released in 2010. It's directed by Tom Seidman, written by Tom Seidman, and it stars Sophie Bolen as Julia. I will say, before I go any further, it's not a Christmassy film. It's a very wintry film. We have a lot of snow, but I wouldn't say it's particularly a festive film. It's not one that's going to get you in the Christmas spirit, but certainly it is a very sweet story, and I do recommend it. Julia is moving in with her new family who are fostering her, and she finds a rabbit who is injured, and they take this rabbit to this woman, a woman called Betsy, played by Florence Henderson, and she has a lot of animals and a lot of rabbits. And Julia visits her with the rabbits, and she learns more about rabbits. And I learned stuff. I learned something called cecotropes. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, which are basically very nutritious rabbit poops, nutritious for the rabbits. So it was definitely quite educational in that regard. And of course, there are a lot of very, very cute animals. And Julia, who up until this point has basically been mute, she's not able to talk with other people, she's not able to communicate how she's feeling. She is able to bond with Rumpel, her rabbit, and spend time with Betsy. And it's really lovely to see how she responds to that. And then things take a couple of dramatic turns. And I don't want to go into too much detail about the specifics of the narrative because obviously they are the aspects that keep things interesting, that keep things moving forward. But it's ultimately all about Julia, her relationship with Rumpel, and how powerful that can be for a little girl who's feeling very lost and alone in the world. It's much better than I expected. It's a very moving story. As I said, it is a little slow at times. The whole film is about an hour and 40, and I feel like it could have been an hour and 20 without really losing anything. But it's not too bad. There's no one scene that dragged out. There are just bits here and there that I think we could have done without. But that being said, it's still a really sweet story. Julia is a very likable child after a while. It took me a little while to kind of get on board with her, but once she met the rabbit and we started to see this other side of her, or indeed any side of her, as up until that point, we knew nothing about her. There was a wall completely in front of her that she'd built, I guess, to protect herself, but Rumpel was able to allow her to start to break that wall down, and she became a lot more likable. And I really enjoyed it, and I think Sophie Bolen did a great job with the performance. As I said, not exactly a very Christmassy film, but other than that, it's very sweet, very emotional, and one that I think, if it sounds like it appeals to you, I'd say it's worth checking out.